Yesterday about the metadata debate, and here is his question and my answer.
Is Cruz vulnerable?
Yes, he is. And the debate on the 15th, in which I'm a panelist, that will come up. If I have any hope to turn that towards a national security focus, that is a major deal, because the French were not able to follow, with the best homeland security in Europe, were not able to follow the terrorists who attacked Paris, and the collection of metadata will matter.
Okay, so Senator Cruz, I hope to bring it up. I don't know. I never get to make the final cuts on these things, and who knows what's going on. But the Freedom Act debate between you and Marco Rubio, I'm not going to take a side on it, but I think it's going to come up. What do you think about it?
Oh, sure. I think it is likely to come up. And I'll say, by the way, on the first question, I had publicly lobbied CNN. I'd like to see you get a lot more questions, Hugh. I'd love to see you get into a detailed foreign policy discussion, because there are very few national commentators with anything close to your level of knowledge and sophistication. I think that would be beneficial for the voters. And I was disappointed. You're not going to respond to this other than to say something gracious, but I was disappointed at the last debate you were at that I thought you didn't get nearly enough questions, and so I'd like to see you get a lot more airtime.
Well, thank you, but I am going to say it went well, and the second one will as well. But what about the metadata?
So on the metadata, you're right that a PAC that is supporting Marco Rubio is putting about $200,000 in running an attack ad in the state of Iowa right now, going after me on national security. And I have to say, my first reaction when I saw the attack ad was to chuckle. I don't think it is an attack that is going to work. I think it is a substantively false attack. And I think the reason that Rubio's allies have resorted to false attack ads is they are very, very nervous about our surge in the polls, about the fact that conservatives are uniting behind our campaign, and they're even more nervous about all the scrutiny that people are focusing on Marco Rubio's longtime partnership with Barack Obama and Chuck Schumer pushing a massive amnesty plan. And so I think they were looking to change the subject, and they believe that launching a false attack based on the USA Freedom Act was the way to do it. The facts are simple. The USA Freedom Act, which I supported along with Senator Mike Lee, along with most of the conservatives in the House of Representatives, along with the National Rifle Associations, all of us supported it. We did so, number one, because it ended the federal government's bulk collection of phone metadata, and it is not necessary to keep us safe to violate the constitutional rights of millions of law-abiding citizens. I don't believe the federal government needs to collect in bulk and maintain your and my phone records. That does not further national security. But the second thing the USA Freedom Act does is it strengthens the tools for going after the terrorist. If you have a terrorist, if you have someone who is communicating with terrorists, we need law enforcement and national security to have the ability to intercept their phones, to intercept their emails, to go after and target them. And the USA Freedom Act strengthens the ability to go after the bad guys. That's why the Rubio PAC ad is false and knowingly false. And I think their efforts to change the topic from Rubio's longtime support of amnesty, I don't think that's going to be successful.
Now, Senator Cruz, you know that I can be objective and fair, even though we might disagree on this issue, and I want to put that out there. But metadata worries me because of the end-to-end encryption employed by the Paris terrorists and the delay between the need to track down a suspect and get access to their records. What's your response to that? Because when the moment comes that we have Paris in the United States, and it is coming in my view, I don't know if you agree with me on that, we're going to want to find every bit of information about these people like they did in Paris and Belgium after an attack.
You are right that when we have a terrorist, when we have a cell phone, we're going to want to track it down and track it down quickly. And the testimony of the intelligence agencies was that the USA Freedom Act increased the ability to target the bad guys. That the old bulk metadata program, it swept in your and my information, but it wasn't all-encompassing. It excluded a significant number of phone numbers, and so it made it less effective. And what the intelligence agencies told Congress is the USA Freedom Act would have greater penetration. They would be more likely to stop the terrorists with the tools in the USA Freedom Act. And so facts matter. And those are the facts. And you asked if I agreed that we have a real risk of another Paris attack in America, and absolutely we do. And I think that risk is exacerbated by President Obama's indefensible attempts to bring tens of thousands of Syrian Muslim refugees to America. And I would note that that is a particular irony of Marco Rubio's attack ad directed at me on national security, because one of the elements of the Rubio-Schumer Gang of Eight bill that Marco Rubio authored was to give Barack Obama more authority to admit Syrian refugees. It changed the law. If it had passed, it would have changed the law so that you no longer require an individualized assessment of a refugee, but rather it would have given Obama the authority to make a blanket admission of Syrian refugees, and it required no background checks whatsoever. Now, you want to talk about a threat to national security. Marco Rubio and Chuck Schumer giving Barack Obama a blank check to admit as many Syrian refugees as he wants with no background check, that is a profound threat to national security, and it's why Rubio's super PAC is trying to change the subject and attack precisely where they know that Senator Rubio's record is vulnerable, because his amnesty bill weakened our national security.